Our friend Meghan made a truly astonishing announcement this week, one that was, as always, a bit of a sad sequel to an earlier non-event. It's now official. Meghan Markle has been permanently excluded from the royal family, confirmed by insiders and longtime commentators rather than just whispered in palace corridors or hinted at in headlines. This isn't theoretical or a passing rumor. It's reality. No meetings, no reconciliation, not even a polite hello. She's gone for good. The decision came quietly, but was its impact earth-shattering? Absolutely. This wasn't a PR move or a subtle distancing like we've seen before. This was Prince William drawing a clear line and saying no more, not just for the monarchy's sake, but also for his wife, Catherine, Princess of Wales, whose name Meghan allegedly dragged through the mud one too many times. According to royal officials, the final straw was Prince Harry's most recent televised tell-all, which reignited grievances many thought were resolved. But it wasn't just Harry's words that hurt. It was Meghan's presence behind them. Her influence and voice were unspoken, but unmistakable. William, known for his restraint, reportedly reacted with icy anger. Not with a public outburst or headline-making statement, but with complete silence. Strategic, permanent, and deadly. This came at a cost. Meghan Markle was completely cut off, barred from royal grounds, family events, and even being mentioned around Princess Kate. That's no exaggeration. Insiders say Meghan's name is now off-limits in royal circles. Palace staff have been strongly instructed not to discuss her, especially near Catherine, whose health and emotional well-being are being closely monitored by William. This wasn't just a reaction. It was essentially a protective measure. William made it clear his loyalty lies with his wife, not with his brother's chaos. And if Harry couldn't step away from Meghan's public vendetta, the door would stay shut forever. What shocked people most was how it was done. No statements, no drama. Meghan apparently hates silence, but that's exactly what she got. No headlines, no acknowledgement, just a cold royal freeze-out that makes banishment look mild. And don't be mistaken, this wasn't Catherine's decision alone. William fully embraced his role as future king and made the hardest personal choice of his royal life. Meghan Markle is no longer part of the story. The silence says it all. The public has long speculated about Meghan Markle's feud with Catherine, Princess of Wales, through whispers and careful hints. Despite the polished exterior of the palace, the truth behind the scenes was far more explosive. Multiple royal insiders revealed that the breakdown wasn't caused by a single event, comment, or tabloid story. Instead, years of tension, distrust, and subtle emotional battles finally reached a breaking point. From the beginning, the relationship between Meghan and Catherine was strained. The palace had envisioned a new royal Fab Four, made up of William and Kate, Harry and Meghan, united by their youth, charm, and modern outlook. But that ideal quickly faded behind closed doors. The dynamic was anything but peaceful. Meghan, used to being in control, reportedly clashed with royal protocols, while Catherine, a symbol of tradition, quietly resisted. Their now famous disagreement before Meghan's wedding was just the start. For months, stories about whether Meghan made Kate cry or vice versa dominated headlines. What the public didn't see was the lasting emotional toll. According to family sources, Catherine was deeply upset, not by the incident itself, but by Meghan's subsequent use of it in the media. It wasn't only the Oprah interview, an insider explained. It was how Meghan portrayed Kate as cold, harsh, and complicit. That portrayal deeply affected Catherine. Even after that, William and Kate tried to maintain civility for the monarchy's sake. They attended events, smiled, and played their roles. But it was always a fragile truce, which shattered whenever Meghan launched another media campaign focused on her version of the truth. The final blow came in May, during a startling BBC interview where Prince Harry spoke critically about his time in the royal family. Though he didn't name names, the implication was clear. The institution he and Meghan had fought to leave was still mistreating family members. Meghan's influence was felt behind his words. Palace staff said Catherine was personally devastated by this new wave of criticism. She had been quietly recovering from a serious health issue, the details of which remained private. William had done everything possible to keep her stress-free. That interview changed everything. It wasn't just another public relations setback. It was deeply personal. Meghan's name became a trigger, and William had reached his limit. He reportedly called a private meeting with senior advisors and made it clear Meghan Markle would no longer be mentioned inside the palace. Staff were ordered not to discuss her in informal conversations. Communication teams were told not to prepare any talking points about her. Events were carefully planned to avoid accidental encounters. Meghan wasn't just distanced, she was effectively erased. The palace's attitude shifted from cold tolerance to deliberate exclusion. Catherine, known for her calm and gentle nature, reportedly fully supported this decision. Those close to her say it wasn't about spite or revenge, but about peace of mind. Meghan's presence, and even her name, had caused anxiety and exhaustion. Catherine felt that every step forward in her recovery was set back by Meghan's actions. A source explained that William's ban wasn't an emotional reaction, but a calculated move to protect the two people he values most, his wife and the monarchy. In doing so, he drew a line Meghan would never cross again, not through apologies, reconciliation, or even through Harry. Meghan Markle had done enough damage. For Prince William has long been seen as the calm center amid royal storms, steady, measured, and diplomatic, especially compared to his more impulsive brother. However, insiders say a new side of the future king has emerged in recent months, not angry or emotional, but strategic, ruthless, and resolute. When it came to Meghan Markle, that side of William was on full display. According to multiple sources, the decision to enforce an unofficial lifelong ban on Meghan didn't come from a shouting match or emotional confrontation. It happened quietly in a private meeting with advisors, where William clearly laid out his position with the cold clarity only a natural leader could muster. Meghan Markle was no longer welcome, neither inside the palace nor at royal events, nor in the royal narrative. Period. There would be no letters, no phone calls, no reconciliation. This wasn't just about letting things cool off. It was a complete shutdown, a royal exile, not by title, but in practice. What made it even more significant was William's decision to handle it with such quiet finality. It all happened quietly. There was no public announcement, no grand press release, and no briefing for the tabloids, just a series of internal decisions that slowly and deliberately removed Meghan from the royal ecosystem. According to palace staff, her name was not to be mentioned in Catherine's presence. Employees were instructed to avoid talking about her altogether. When planning royal events, Meghan was simply to be ignored. He's not playing the media's game. One source said, he's not going to give her a headline. He intends to stay silent, and that's even more painful. This wasn't William acting out of spite. It was him fulfilling his duty as guardian of the monarchy, the future king. With King Charles's health reportedly declining, William has taken on greater responsibilities behind the scenes, including preserving the dignity and stability of the royal family, something he believes Meghan's continued presence threatens. Meghan's influence can be seen throughout the royal drama of recent years, from the Oprah interview to a Netflix documentary and Harry's candid biography. While William tried to stay composed, recent provocations, especially as Catherine's health worsened, forced him to act. Royal critic Angela Levin, who wrote a book on Prince Harry, described William's approach as devastatingly effective. There was no reaction, no acknowledgement, no fuel for the fire, just a dignified, impenetrable wall of silence. That, she said, is driving Meghan crazy. Meghan has always had the ability to control the narrative, but how do you shape a story when the other side refuses to even mention your name? The royal family is known for its long-term strategy, and William shows he's learned from the best. His decision wasn't just about personal hurt, it was about royal precedent. You can't attack the crown and then walk back in, not on his watch. So the verdict is clear. Even if it's not officially recorded, Meghan Markle is gone for good. The harshest part? No one in the palace will even say her name. For years, Meghan thrived by controlling her story. She mastered image-making through carefully managed interviews, lucrative streaming deals, and staged magazine covers. From her royal wedding to the Oprah special, she portrayed herself as both victim and victor, someone wronged by the system but rising above it. It was her brand, weapon, and shield. But for the first time since entering the global spotlight as Duchess of Sussex, Meghan has lost control of her narrative. Those close to her say she is unraveling behind closed doors. What makes this moment so tragic isn't a smear campaign or media expose. Meghan never expected silence. From the palace, from William, from Catherine, or from the institution she once challenged on the world stage. There's no response, no statement, not even a denial. Just nothing. According to royal sources, this silence is what's driving her insane. She's used to making headlines, even negative ones, but now she's invisible, and that's her worst nightmare. It started subtly. Observers noticed her absence from family discussions, and media coverage gradually excluded her from royal stories. The final blow came when it became known that Meghan's name is reportedly forbidden in Catherine's presence, not to be spoken, cited, or acknowledged. Meghan Markle is no longer part of the royal family. Inside Meghan's camp, the reaction was intense. "She's not just frustrated, she's panicking," said a former employee. Her empire was built on being seen and heard, and now she's completely shut out. The silence is louder than any attack. Her attempts to become a Hollywood power player haven't gone as planned. While her initial Netflix and Spotify projects gained attention, later efforts stalled. Former supporters in fashion and entertainment have started to distance themselves. Even Edward Enninful, editor of British Vogue, who once praised her publicly, is reportedly avoiding future collaborations. Meghan knows her shine is fading. "She thought she could control the story," said a former palace aide, "but what she didn't expect was for the institution to stop playing." And the worst part? She can't fight what she can't see. William hasn't attacked her, Catherine hasn't responded, and the crown hasn't said a word. There's no scandal to hold on to, just a wall of rejection. Even inside her inner circle, cracks are appearing. Collaborators are pulling away. Media outlets that once treated her like royalty now write with blunt honesty. Her greatest asset, public sympathy, is disappearing. The palace hasn't canceled her, they've erased her. Meghan, who once believed she could rewrite the rules of monarchy, is now facing the reality that she's no longer a player in the drama. No more headlines, no responses, no royal attention. Just silence. Cold, strategic, and permanent. For a woman whose life was built around the spotlight, this quiet is worse than any scandal. It's a collapse by omission, and it's pushing Meghan over the edge. If Meghan's struggle is with silence, Prince Harry's is even more painful. Harry is caught between the woman he loves and the family that once defined him. He's walking a razor-thin line between loyalty and legacy, emotion and responsibility. With Prince William's lifelong ban on Meghan quietly in place, the pressure on Harry has never been greater. For years, Harry stood by Meghan's side, even during the Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, and his explosive memoir, Spare. His story was consistent. The royal family had failed them, and their decision to step back was about survival, not rebellion. He criticized, exposed, and reinvented himself as an outsider while keeping the label that kept him relevant. But the situation is changing. Behind the palace's silence and William's cold stance, a new door has quietly opened, one that leads back, but only for Harry. According to insiders, while Meghan's name is banned in royal circles, William and Catherine have made it clear that family comes first, but only if Harry goes alone. A royal aide said, "He's family," There's still love, but it's no longer unconditional. William, who has always been protective of his brother, apparently drew this line out of necessity rather than spite. He has seen the constant interviews, attacks, and media weaponization, with Meghan's influence all over them. In William's eyes, whether deliberate or not, Harry has become a spokesman for chaos. Still, Charles, and to a lesser extent William, hope Harry might return if he's willing to break clean from the circus around him. But that's a tough climb. No more media deals, memoirs, or passive-aggressive digs at tabloids. In short, no more Meghan-style PR battles. Here's the tragedy. Harry can't just walk away. He's built his new life, identity, and wealth around Meghan. They are a package deal by choice, branding, and conviction. Returning to royal life without Meghan would feel like a betrayal, not just of his wife, but of everything they've stood for since 2020. But the cost of that loyalty is growing. As Meghan's influence fades and public sympathy shifts, Harry risks being dragged down with her. Friends from his past have distanced themselves. Royal cousins keep their distance. Public opinion has cooled. With William holding a tight line, Harry feels more isolated than ever. A prince without a kingdom, a brother without a bridge. The irony is heartbreaking. The young man who once walked behind his mother's coffin in front of the world, hailed as a war hero and admired as the down-to-earth prince, is now a cautionary tale. Not quite rebellious, not quite royal, caught in between. The palace stays silent, but the message is loud. You may come home, Harry, but only if you come alone. That's the tightrope he's walking now. One wrong step and he could lose everything. Meghan Markle, once celebrated as a modern icon who broke barriers, rewrote royal etiquette, and charmed the global media, now faces a different reality. Decline, disappointment. Her carefully crafted empire, built on image, influence, and controlled vulnerability, is starting to crumble, and the cracks are no longer hidden. When Meghan and Harry left the royal family in 2020, they were met with a surge of public interest and lucrative offers. Netflix, Spotify, and Penguin Random House all wanted a piece of the exiled royals. The Sussexes branded themselves as disruptors, victims of a rigid institution, and advocates for social justice. For a while, it worked. They dominated headlines, signed major deals, and changed public discourse. But 3 years later, the shine is fading. The Netflix series came and went. The Spotify deal fell through. Meghan's animated series was canceled before it premiered. Even carefully planned projects like podcasts, lifestyle launches, and interviews are struggling. What was once fresh and radical now feels overdone. Audiences are tuning out. Fatigue has set in. One entertainment executive said plainly, "At some point, the public wants more than victimhood and vague empowerment slogans." It's not just the projects that are failing, but the relationships that supported them. Edward Enninful, Meghan's biggest ally in British media and former Vogue UK editor, has grown quiet. The 2019 guest editorship he gave her was once hailed as innovative, but their partnership reportedly ended badly. Meghan's behind-the-scenes demands allegedly became too much, self-centered and unwilling to compromise. And he's not alone. Former employees, collaborators, and supporters have gradually pulled away. Some say Meghan shows diva behavior, including mood swings, micromanaging, and extreme sensitivity to criticism. Others believe the Sussex brand has become too risky and divisive. One wrong headline turns the association into a liability. Even in Hollywood, the demand for Meghan is shifting. The disruptor is fading. A-list friendships have cooled, and public invitations have diminished. Her once dazzling image now carries baggage, accusations of manipulation, entitlement, and self-interest. Insiders say Meghan has become increasingly paranoid and defensive. She allegedly fixates on press coverage, monitors social media reactions, and seeks near-constant control over her image. She used to wield the media like a sword, but now struggles to keep it in check. As the palace's silence grows louder, with William enforcing a complete cutoff and Catherine forbidding her name from being mentioned, Meghan finds herself fighting ghosts. There are no press releases, no public disputes. Nobody is listening to her story. And the silence, the emptiness, is eroding her brand. Meghan was never just a duchess or actress. She represented a movement, a narrative, a rebranding. She built an empire on visibility, on being seen and heard. Now, she is being erased, not through scandal or smear campaigns, but through deliberate royal silence. Her power came from commanding attention, which she is now losing. From Vogue covers to royal corridors, Silicon Valley pitches to London galas, Meghan's name no longer commands notice. It barely whispers, if it's mentioned at all. Prince William's firm stance sends a clear message. Her reign outside the palace may have started with a blaze, but it's ending quietly. Meghan Markle was ultimately silenced rather than confronted. Instead of a royal statement or a scandalous exposé, the future King of England made a calm, measured decision. William did not react with anger or retaliation. He simply closed the door and locked it forever. This royal freeze-out is a devastating blow to a woman whose authority was built on being seen, heard, and talked about. There are no more interviews to respond to, no more rebuttals, no more oxygen. The palace didn't have to say her name to close the chapter. They just stopped acknowledging the story altogether. For Catherine, this wasn't about revenge. It was about survival. After years of barely veiled public tensions, insults, and whispered slights, she made one last appeal for peace. William delivered. Meghan is no longer just unwelcome. She is unmentioned. In the royal world, banishment is as final as it gets. What remains is a grim symmetry. Meghan, who famously cut off her own father and openly severed ties with family members she deemed toxic, is now living her own philosophy of total separation. No closure, no conversation, just silence. And what about Prince Harry? He remains caught in the middle, still loved, but no longer fully trusted. The royal family's hand remains extended, but only if he distances himself from the storm that follows his wife. It's unclear whether he can or will. But Meghan's fate is sealed. The crown has spoken, not with words but with silence. There is no title that can fix it, no apology that can reverse it. She is no longer part of the monarchy's future, in name, image, or memory. Meghan Markle hasn't just stepped away. She's gone. And Britain's most powerful family has made sure she stays that way. Forever.